I was 22 partying at my old buddy Liam's place in Denver. Liam passed away from a heroin overdose in 2013, but back then, he was the king of Halloween every year. His parents jetted off to Miami for their own shindig, leaving him free to turn the house into a nightmare factory. He'd splurge on creepy props. Think fake blood skeletons, the works, and even built a haunted maze with cardboard walls plastered in eerie designs to keep this PG-13. Skip the wild stuff and jump to when it all went south. Me, Liam, and some guys say Pete, Marco, and Tim were up in his room chilling when two loud bangs echoed from downstairs. Liam stumbled to the door, freaking out. We heard screams, guys and girls. Total panic fest. Even in our haze, we knew something was seriously wrong. Liam darted back, locked the door, and looked like he'd seen a ghost. "What's happening?" we yelled. "Hide," he hissed. He killed the lights and ducked into the closet. With Marco, I slid under the bed with Tim, and Pete crammed into a storage trunk. The party music cut off. A man's voice barked for everyone to shut up. A girl screamed, then bang, silence. We heard at least 3 guys yelling downstairs. Heavy boots stomped up the stairs and stopped at the door. The guy jiggled the knob, then started slamming into it. After a few tries, he shot the lock, and the door flew open from under the bed. I saw boots and torn jeans stride to the closet. Liam begged, offering cash to let us live. He admitted it was his house and the guy dragging downstairs. The rest of us stayed hidden. Marco hadn't been nabbed after what felt like ages. The front door slammed and Liam rushed back to say they were gone. But the real horror hit when I saw 2 bodies. Downstairs, our friends Sarah and Kyle gone. The cops came, and though the place reeked of smoke, they cared more about catching the 4 masked intruders. Liam described fedoras, skull masks, long coats. They demanded $100,000 settled for valuables and forced everyone to toss their wallets in a bag. Liam never recovered. He drank, dropped out, and turned to hard drugs. One night he broke down, saying he blamed himself for Sarah and Kyle. He overdosed that July night. Even a year later, it was my first Halloween living alone in a quaint little house in Boise, Idaho, a fixer-upper my folks had helped me buy after I'd spent years dreaming of independence. I'd moved in just a month earlier, still adjusting to the creaky wooden floors, the drafty windows, and the basement I avoided unless absolutely necessary. The house had charm-peeling paint, and all but, it also had an eerie stillness that sometimes kept me up at night. That Halloween, I decided to embrace the season, settling onto my lumpy couch with a bowl of candy I'd bought for trick-or-treaters and a horror movie marathon flickering on my ancient TV. By 11 p.m., the streets outside had quieted, the last of the costumed kids long gone. I was halfway through The Exorcist when a sharp knock rattled the front door. I froze, my popcorn halfway to my mouth. Trick-or-treaters this late? Doubtful. I muted the TV and crept to the window, parting the curtains just enough to peek out. The porch was empty, bathed in the dim glow of a flickering streetlight. Probably some teenagers messing around, I reasoned, returning to my spot. But then, it came again, 3 loud, deliberate knocks. My annoyance flared. "Go away," I shouted, hoping to scare them off. Silence followed, and I thought I'd won until the knocking turned into a thunderous pounding, each blow shaking the door in its frame. My pulse quickened. I grabbed a baseball bat from the hall closet, flung the door open, and stepped onto the porch, ready to confront the pranksters. Nothing. Just the rustle of leaves skittering across the yard in the chilly breeze. I checked the bushes, peered around my beat-up sit, and still nothing. Frustrated and a little spooked, I went back inside, locking the door and sliding the deadbolt for good measure. I retreated to my bedroom, figuring the extra walls between me and the front door might ease my nerves. But even with the TV blaring, the pounding resumed. Louder now, like someone or something was testing my resolve. I debated calling the cops, but hesitated, not wanting to seem paranoid over what could still be a dumb prank. Exhaustion eventually pulled me into a fitful sleep, only to be ripped awake by a new sound knocking, soft at first, coming from my bedroom door. My stomach lurched. I fumbled for my phone, my hands trembling as I clutched the bat tighter. The knob rattled, and the door shook, as if someone was pushing against it. Panic took over. I blasted a gunshot sound effect I'd downloaded as a joke and yelled, "That's your warning, next one's real." Footsteps real. Human footsteps thundered down the hall, and the front door slammed open. I leapt up, heart in my throat, and found it swinging in the wind, the night air flooding the house. I locked it again and called the police, my voice shaky as I explained the ordeal. 2 officers arrived, their flashlights sweeping the shadows, but they found no one, just a few scuff marks on the porch they couldn't explain. They suggested I install a camera, but the lingering dread stayed with me. Every creak of that house now feels like a warning, and I can't shake the thought that whoever or whatever it was might come back. At 14, I wasn't exactly Halloween obsessed. Growing up in Portland, Oregon, I'd always felt a bit like an outsider, too shy for the big costume parties, too awkward to join the trick-or-treating crowds. But that year, I was secretly thrilled when my mom asked me to stay home and hand out candy while she took my little sister Ellie around the neighborhood. It was a rare chance to feel grown up, to have the house to myself without the usual chaos of my family. Our place was a modest 2-story with a wraparound porch, the kind of house that looked cozy until the lights went out. Mom and Ellie left at dusk, their laughter fading as they joined the stream of costumed kids. I set up shop on the couch, a giant bowl of candy by my side, and flipped on the TV for a horror movie marathon. Nightmare on Elm Street was just starting. The first hour was uneventful. A few groups of trick-or-treaters rang the bell, their pirate hats and ghost sheets making me smile. By 8 p.m., the visits tapered off, and I sank deeper into the couch, the movie's eerie score filling the room. Then the kitchen phone rang, its jarring trill slicing through the quiet. I jolted upright, spilling candy across the cushions. Who'd call now? I hurried to answer, the linoleum cold under my socks. "Hello?" I said, but there was only a faint rustling, like leaves caught in a storm, and slow, heavy breathing. "Hello?" I tried again, irritation creeping in. The line clicked dead. I rolled my eyes. Probably my best friend Steve, always up for a scare. Back on the couch, I'd barely settled when it rang again. This time, the breathing was louder, more deliberate, sending a shiver down my spine. "Steve, cut it out," I snapped, but the call ended without a word. I tried to focus on the movie, but my nerves were buzzing. When the phone stayed silent for a while, I let myself relax, chalking it up to a one-off prank. Then, just as Freddy Krueger slashed across the screen, it rang a third time. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the receiver, before picking up. Silence stretched, then a low, guttural voice rasped, "I'm coming for you tonight." I slammed the phone down, my breath catching. My mind raced. Steve wouldn't take it that far, would he? Before I could decide, the lights flickered and died, plunging the house into darkness. I stumbled to the window, peering out at the street. Power was out everywhere. Then came the knocking, hard, insistent thumps on the front door. I screamed, the sound raw and panicked, but it was drowned out by Laughter Steve's laughter. I flung the door open, ready to chew him out, and there he was, doubled over on the porch. "You jerk," I yelled, shoving him. "Was that you on the phone?" He grinned, admitting to the breathing calls but frowning when I mentioned the voice. "I didn't say anything," he swore, his confusion mirroring mine. My stomach dropped. We checked the fuse box together, wires sliced clean through. We bolted inside, and I called Mom, who rushed home and alerted the police. They traced the call to a payphone outside a dive bar 2 blocks away, but no one was caught. Steve swore it wasn't him, and I believe him. Someone else was out there that night, and I'll never know who or why.